Bogman is the first movie in what will hopefully be a new MonsterVerse created by Mitch Lang, who sent me this movie to check out. How does it fare with other independent Bigfoot films? Let's find out. The story opens up with the Williams family. Charles, Tasha, James, and Michelle. They're moving to the small town of Mountain Bend, Arkansas, because Charles' uncle has just died, and he left him a ranch. I wish one of my uncles had a ranch. All I was left with was his Hot Wheels collection. Anyway, as they pull into the town, they decide to stop at a couple of local shops and have a look around. Inside, we can see that this store has a thing for Bigfoot. My kind of place. And it turns out that the whole town is like this, capitalizing on the creature to make money. Apparently, some TV show is recording there all the time called Chasing Bogman, which James really likes. Anyway, the owner greets them and they all talk a little bit. Specifically how, yeah, she does believe in Bigfoot. And if you live here long enough, you'll believe too. Next, the family goes to get a bite to eat, and while they do that, the mayor swings by. He's got an offer that they can't refuse. I guess a bunch of government grants have come in, and if the family lets him use their land for a park or something, he'll give them a cut. They haven't even been to the ranch yet, but they're open to the idea. I don't know, I guess it's a good deal, but I get the feeling that the mayor is pretty shisty. Got him. The family finally makes it to their new home, and Charles meets with some of the ranch hands, David and Clark. David reports in on the status of the buildings, which ones need work and which ones are fine. He notices that there's some animal damage to the outer perimeter buildings, the ones by the tree line. So he says he'll set up trail cams and see what's back there. He wastes no time and is out putting up the cameras, but does he know more than he's letting on? He puts them up pretty high in the trees, too high for it to trigger if it was just a deer or a fox. Just then, a big rock is thrown at David, and something is watching him. Spooked, he takes off running. Meanwhile, some guys are out hunting the creature, and they're not here to just capture it on camera. They're gonna shoot to kill. They've hung up some raw meat and they go to check on it, and sure enough, it's gone. But this is the middle of the woods. Anything could have taken it. But not just anything would leave behind such a large footprint. And the guys follow the trail. Finally, they find it and open fire. But that doesn't really seem to slow him down. And now the Bogman is on the attack, crushing one of them under a boulder, and then taking out the other one. Bigfoot doesn't leave any survivors. The next morning, they all get up early to start working on the ranch. James is tasked with cutting down a path to the lake. As he goes, however, he runs into Deputy Thomas. The deputy takes the kid back to his family and explains why he was out there in the first place. 2 hunters have gone missing, and he asks if they know anything. Well, it turns out that David did see one of them earlier setting up their meat traps, so he agrees to show the deputy to one of them. On their way there, they run into the sheriff, and as they get closer, the dog Biscuit runs away. Don't go there, movie. Just leave the dog alone. The men continue until they find what they came here for, the missing hunters. At first, they only find one, so they assume there was a fight. One guy got mad at the other, and I guess found the strength to lift this boulder and crush him. However, this idea is put to rest pretty quickly when they find the other hunter, dead. Now they know what did this. The men don't really say it out loud yet, but they know. The family's warned to stay inside for the day while they sort all this out. The cops take a look at the trail cams and see the monster on just one frame. Later on, we check in on the family, and it seems like even they are starting to become Bogman believers. Tasha makes Charles promise to set out traps and monitors in the morning. So the next day we see David and Clark doing just that. They split up to cover more ground, which in a horror movie is never a good idea. And here, it's no exception. Clark sees the creature and takes off.
Oh God, oh God.
Aw man, they missed the perfect opportunity to have Bigfoot crush that beer can. Oh well. The monster catches up to Clark and starts knocking over trees to try and hit him. And these aren't just little trees either, like huge 50-year-old trees. Well, eventually one does get him, and he's pinned down. David comes running to help, which scares the Bogman away. Clark isn't dead, but let's just say he'll be out of commission for a while. David tells the sheriff that he didn't see anything, but he sure did smell it. Just then, a bunch of people show up at the house.
What? Who's that? Trouble, Mr. Williams. Trouble you don't want.
It's the camera crew for the Chasing Bogman show. Charles isn't too thrilled about having them on his property, but it turns out that his wife met with the mayor and he kind of forced her to sign an agreement to let them film. So he doesn't have a choice. Even though he's not happy about the guys being there, his son sure is. This is James' favorite show, and now he gets a chance to be on it.
Are we gonna be on the Bigfoot show, Dad?
That's right, kiddo, you are.
There are several members on the crew, but the only important ones are Dr. Benjamin Martin, the cryptozoologist, and the host, Richard Brooks, played by Mitch Lane himself. They kind of take over for a while, and the sheriff makes like a tree and leaves, not wanting to be on camera. While they set up shop, we jump over to Biscuit out in the woods. Uh-oh, don't tell me. Here we go, just brace for it. Well, the Bogman is friendly with dogs. Hey, well, any creature that's nice to a dog is alright in my book. The crew sees some more trail cam footage and gets super excited by it, asking David to take them to where it was recorded. When they get there, Dr. Martin is surprised to find footprints, and they're legit. You see, typically the crew comes out the night before and makes a whole bunch of fake prints, just for the show. But not this time. This is the real deal. They also find some blood and hair nearby. This might just be their chance to finally prove it to the world. Bigfoot is real.
This is something that no other cryptid hunter has ever found before.
Blood.
They continue looking all day, and Charles and the deputies start to wonder how safe they are out here. But they can't stop now, because they just found some more evidence. Stacked rocks, which could be a form of communication for these things. The local natives used to mark trails with stones, so others would know which way to go. Perhaps the Bigfoot caught on to this behavior as well. Just then, a rancid smell hits the air, and they know it's close. They hear wood knocks and whoops, and at that point, even Richard thinks, yeah, it's time to get out of here. As they go to leave, however, the creature attacks. Everyone takes off running back to the ranch. They funnel in, but the door's locked. Not wanting to miss the shot, Richard puts the cameraman in danger, and Bigfoot grabs his hand, breaking it. The deputy fires his gun, which scares the creature away, and they make it inside to fight another day. Using the samples they found earlier, Dr. Martin can tell that this creature is male, 7 to 7.5 feet tall, 800 pounds, and probably most interesting, 200 years old. But Charles doesn't really care about all that. All he wants to know is how to keep his family safe. Luckily, Richard has already thought about that, and he called some of his military buddies to come join in on the hunt. Dr. Martin hates the idea of killing this creature, so he insists that they shoot tracking darts at it. That way they can study it for years to come. So that's their plan. Everyone goes out into the woods and starts searching for the beast. Richard leads them right to where the stone structure was the night before, but they see it's been moved, which doesn't really make sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
Why would it move something like this unless it was some form of communication? Which means there's more than one.
Is this the only creature?
They hear whoops, and it's not long after that, people start getting attacked. It's a bloodbath, and Bigfoot doesn't stop. Each and every one of the military guys are taken out, but they did manage to get the tracker on it, so that's good at least. Meanwhile, Tasha and the kids are starting to get a bit worried. Michelle doesn't want to leave her dad alone out there, so she starts putting on her shoes to help him out. And Tasha doesn't really have the balls to say no, so she agrees to drive them back to their father. While she's doing that, the shootout continues, apparently all day, and now it's night. More people are killed, and it looks like Bigfoot has learned how to take people out from Michael Myers, because despite everyone running, all he does is walk slowly and catches up with them. Eventually, they all make it back to the ranch, and the onslaught continues. Just when it looks like Charles is a goner, Tasha comes in out of nowhere and slams the Bogman with her car. But is it dead? No, not yet. Dr. Martin is the one to deliver the final blow. The next morning, everyone is tending to their wounds, but all the main characters survived. Charles and Dr. Martin talk about what they'll do next. Will the show continue? Well, no way. You can't keep a show going after this many people have been killed. But that doesn't really mean the doctor has to stop hunting monsters. Now, he's even more curious to what's out there, setting everything up for a sequel. And that was Bogman, an independent, ambitious Bigfoot film. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Big Legend, how that movie was supposed to be a setup for a whole new monsterverse. But at this point, I'm pretty sure Big Legend's setup has all but fallen through. So who knows, maybe they can start something new here. I did really enjoy the film, although there are a few small things to nitpick about. There's some weird dubbing at times.
You guys know Mike and Kevin. You seen them around?
Well, I did see Mike yesterday hanging up some weird meat traps out there in the woods.
And there's an old filter that pretty much is there the whole movie, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm not going to complain about the Bogman suit. It's low budget, so it's obviously a guy in a costume. However, if they were to make a sequel, I'd like to see an upgrade to it. It's certainly not the worst suit that we've ever seen, that's for sure. I think that honor would have to go to Bigfoot's bride. I really liked the power the creature had. The fact that it could push down those giant trees was pretty cool. And the acting was surprisingly not that bad for an independent film. You can tell that everyone had fun on set, and I look forward to what they can come up with next. Which I'm guessing has to do with a water creature, given the title, Sea of Madness. Hopefully this gets released on more platforms like Tubi or YouTube, so a wider audience can have a watch. If you like independent horror, then check this one out. Oh, and the Bogman song at the end can't be missed. I give Bogman 2.5. Bigfoot's being friendly with dogs. Out of 4.
When I'm exhausted from running through the woods all day from Bigfoot, I like to suck on a boggy ball for refreshment. That's got hair in it.